One book at a time. Today's selection is The Game of Life and How to Play It.
Hello there. I have a question for you. It might be a bit provocative, but I want you to truly think about it. Are you fighting with life, or are you playing with it? Sounds strange, doesn't it? I bet most of us, deep down, feel that this life is an endless battle. A battle to survive, to succeed, to be recognized, and to overcome hardships. It feels like every day is a struggle where you have to strain yourself, sweat, and perhaps even bleed just to hold your position or move forward even an inch. Have you ever woken up feeling exhausted before the day has even begun, facing a never-ending list of things you must do, deadlines you must meet, and challenges you must overcome? Personally, I have. Many times, in fact. And in those moments, life appears as a formidable opponent, a thorny battlefield where we are solitary, exhausted warriors. So, what if I told you that this definition of a battlefield might be wrong? What if life isn't a battlefield, but in reality, it is a game? This is exactly when I want to introduce you to a perspective that changed my life and the lives of millions of others, delivered through the wisdom of an extraordinary woman named Florence Scovel Shinn. She wasn't a scientist or an academic philosopher, but a woman of deep insight into how the universe operates and how we can interact with it to create the life we desire. She spoke a classic line that to this day I still hear echoing like a wake-up call. Life is a game of giving and receiving. Read that carefully again. A game of giving and receiving. It is not a life or death struggle. It is a game with rules, with strategies, and most importantly, with interaction. Just like any other game, if you understand the rules and you know how to play, you have a much higher chance of winning, don't you? And to play this game effectively, we need to understand a fundamental law, a law that Florence Scovel Shinn called the law of the boomerang. You know how a boomerang works, right? You throw it, and no matter how hard or how far you throw it, it will always return to you. The law of the boomerang in life works exactly the same way. What you throw out, what you send into the universe, will ultimately come back to you in some form. Think about it. You throw out anger, resentment, criticism, and negativity, and surely enough, it will fly back toward you in the form of irritation, conflict, strained relationships, or simply a bad day. Life is like a mirror. It reflects exactly what you place before it. Conversely, you throw out kindness, helpfulness, optimism, faith, and gratitude, and the universe will return it to you through unexpected opportunities, wonderful relationships, positive experiences, or simply a day where you suddenly feel your heart is light and at peace, it isn't a moral punishment or reward. It is simply the physics of energy. It is the principle of cause and effect. You reap what you sow. That is the first and most core rule of the game of life. It completely changes the way we perceive everything, doesn't it? From feeling passive and pushed around by life to realizing that we are the ones proactively throwing that boomerang. We are the ones who decide the energy and the intention that we send out into this world. So, are you ready to change your perspective from an exhausted warrior on a battlefield to a wise player who understands the rules and knows how to proactively and victoriously create the game of your life? Let us begin this journey together. Chapter 1: The Rules of the Game and the 3 Levels of the Mind. Have you ever wondered if this life is truly a game? A game where we are not just participants, but also the designers, the drivers, and even the creators of our own rules? I believe that the answer is yes. In this series of videos, we will explore together how our minds operate this game of life. Because if you do not understand the rules of the game, it will be very difficult for you to win, won't it? So, who is the main player in this game? It is our mind. But the mind is not a single unified block. Rather, it is divided into 3 distinct levels, and each level has its own role and function. Those 3 levels are the conscious mind, the subconscious mind, and the superconscious mind. So let us explore each player one by one. First, let us begin with the conscious mind, which is our daily driving department. It is the place where you are listening to me speak, where you are thinking about dinner tonight, and where you make decisions to buy this or not buy that. The conscious mind is the rational and logical part, and it is the part that we are most frequently aware of. It is like a farmer sowing seeds. Every thought, every word, and every belief that you accept, whether it is positive or negative, is a seed that your conscious mind sows. It has the power to choose, the power to reject, and most importantly, the power to command. Your conscious mind is the gatekeeper, deciding what is allowed to enter the garden of your mind. Now, let us talk about the subconscious mind, which is where all the real magic happens. Or sometimes, it is where all the trouble begins, if we do not understand it. The subconscious mind is an immense power, an inexhaustible storehouse of memories, habits, emotions, and everything you have ever experienced, whether you remember it or not. Florence Scovel Shinn compares the subconscious mind to steam or electricity. Imagine this. Steam can drive a great ship across the ocean, or it can blow up a house if it is not controlled. Electricity can light up an entire city and run factories, but it can also cause a fire if it is not used correctly. The power of the subconscious is primal and neutral, and it does not distinguish between right and wrong or good and bad. It simply says yes and carries out every command it receives. In other words, the subconscious mind does not have the power to reason for itself. It is a faithful executor, a magnificent builder, but it requires an architect to direct it, and that architect is your conscious mind. The subconscious accepts any thought you consistently nurture in your conscious mind. If your conscious mind constantly thinks, "I am not good enough," or "I cannot succeed," then the subconscious will not doubt it, and it will begin to build that reality for you. Conversely, if you persistently sow seeds of confidence, success, and health, then the subconscious will work tirelessly to manifest those things. This is why what you think, feel, and say every day is so vital. These are not just stray thoughts, but rather they are commands that you are sending to an infinite power within yourself. And above both of these levels, we have another supreme player, a source of infinite wisdom and guidance, which is the superconscious mind, or what Florence Scovel Shinn calls the divine mind. The superconscious is where your divine design is kept. Imagine it like a universal library, containing all potentials, all possibilities, and the most perfect path for your life. It is the realm of original ideas, breakthrough solutions, and your greatest, truest dreams. The superconscious not only knows what is best for you, but it also has the ability to provide everything you need to achieve it. The superconscious is the source of all the prosperity, happiness, health, and love that you desire. The question is, how do we connect with it? Our conscious mind, when properly tuned, can become an antenna receiving signals from the superconscious. When we emit positive vibrations, strong beliefs, and clear affirmations, we are opening the door for the superconscious to send down ideas, guidance, and wise solutions. And when these messages are sent down, our subconscious mind acts as the messenger and the builder to turn that information into reality in our physical world. I believe that each of us has a perfect design waiting to be discovered in our superconscious, a life filled with joy, abundance, and purpose. So you see, the three levels of our mind do not work independently, but rather they are closely interconnected. The conscious mind sows the seeds of thoughts and beliefs. The subconscious mind is the fertile soil and the relentless power that nurtures those seeds to turn them into reality. And the superconscious mind is the source of all good seeds. The perfect design, waiting for the conscious mind to connect and the subconscious to manifest. If your conscious mind constantly sows seeds of negativity, doubt and worry, the subconscious will not object and will begin to build a reality that reflects those very seeds. But when we learn to synchronize these three levels, when our conscious mind begins to trust, love, and expect good things from the superconscious, the subconscious becomes our most powerful ally, helping us create the life we desire. This is not just dry theory, my friends. This is the key to changing your life. It is the foundation for understanding why what you think, what you say, and what you believe has such creative power. It explains why prayers and positive affirmations are effective, and why controlling the mind is the most important skill in this game of life. So ask yourself, what seeds are you sowing in the garden of your mind? In what direction are you directing the power of your subconscious? And are you ready to connect with your divine design? Chapter 2. The Law of Prosperity. Painting what you want. It might sound a bit flamboyant, doesn't it? Painting what you want? But believe me, this is not just a metaphor. This is the moment we explore how to turn the imagination into a tool for creating wealth, success, and the abundant life you have always dreamed of. To begin, I want to tell you a story that Florence Scovel Shinn shared in her book, and it is one that truly resonated with me. There was a certain man who, all year round, lived in a state of poverty and frequently begged for money. He complained about his lack, and he prayed for a large sum of money to escape his destitute conditions. His mind was filled with images of hardship and need, and then a miracle appeared. One day, he received a small, unexpected sum of money, an amount sufficient to cover a portion of his urgent needs. But do you know what happened? His reaction was not one of relief or joy. Instead, he was struck by an overwhelming terror. He clutched that money tightly, not daring to spend a single cent or even deposit it in the bank for fear of losing it, afraid that it would simply fly away. He had visualized the prospect of loss so much that, eventually, the money was either partially eaten away by pests, stolen, or simply sat there without bringing any value. He begged for wealth, but in his heart, he was terrified of owning and using it. This story illustrates a core principle, a secret that we often overlook in our journey toward prosperity, which is that you cannot have what you do not see yourself possessing. The imagination of the man in the story was dominated by the fear of lack and images of loss, rather than the image of wealth being enjoyed and utilized. The universe, or you may call it God, or the law of attraction, depending on your preference, can only bring to you what you truly believe you can have and are ready to receive. If you constantly visualize yourself as a poor person who fears loss, the universe will reflect that exact image back to you. It will arrange events, people, and circumstances to match the mental picture you are painting in your mind. Quite simply, you cannot expect to have a luxury car if, in your heart, you always visualize yourself riding an old bicycle, or a dream house if you keep seeing yourself in a cramped, rented apartment. So how do we escape this vicious cycle? And how do we begin to paint a different picture? A picture of prosperity and the life we truly crave? Florence Scovel Shinn does not just present the problem. She gives us a clear roadmap for practice. Here is how you can begin to paint your mental picture of prosperity. The first and most important thing is that you must visualize as clearly and in as much detail as possible. It is not just saying, "I want to be rich," but rather asking, what does that wealth look like? You must ask how much money you want and what it is for. Think about what your dream house looks like, what color the paint is, how many rooms it has, and what the feeling is when you step through that door. Consider the make and color of the car you want to drive, the sensation of your hands on the steering wheel, and the sound of the engine starting. Imagine the feeling of being completely financially free and what you would do with that time and energy. Use all of your senses to see the colors, hear the sounds, feel the textures, and even smell the scents. Imagine holding a check with that specific amount in your hand, feeling the smoothness of the paper, and clearly seeing every digit. Or visualize your bank account with a specific number and the feeling of peace that comes from looking at it. Second, and this is extremely important, you must feel as if you already possess it. This is not about pretending, but about creating the emotions of gratitude and satisfaction as if it has already happened. When you visualize, let feelings of joy, peace, confidence, and overwhelming gratitude fill you. Feel the relief of no longer having financial burdens, the joy of being able to help your loved ones, and the freedom of pursuing your passions. It is this emotion that serves as the fuel for your imagination, the thing that connects you to what you desire at a matching vibrational frequency. Third, be steadfast and persistent. Painting this mental picture is not a one-time event, but a daily practice. Like an artist, you must return to your painting every day, adding to it, making it more vivid, and strengthening it. Set aside 5 to 10 minutes every morning or every evening, or whenever you feel you need an energy boost. When doubts arise, and they will, gently bring your mind back to that picture of prosperity. Each time you do this, you are reinforcing your faith and your connection to the source of wealth. And finally, do not forget to take action. Visualization is a vital step and a powerful tool for attraction, but it does not replace the need for you to seize opportunities, to learn, to work, and to make the right decisions when they appear. Imagination will open the door and show you the direction, but you must be the one brave enough to walk through. Look for the signs and the smallest opportunities the universe is sending to help make your picture a reality. I know it sounds so simple that it is hard to believe, but I have witnessed it work in my own life and in the lives of many others. The biggest challenge is maintaining focus and faith when current reality seems to go against what you are visualizing. This is when your faith is tested. Start small by visualizing something you truly desire and believe you can achieve. Perhaps a small amount of money to solve a problem, a career opportunity, or an item you want to buy. As you see those small things come true, your faith will grow, and you will be ready to paint larger, bolder pictures. So, what is your exercise after this video? Take some quiet time, close your eyes, and start painting your own picture of prosperity. Imagine it as vividly as possible. Feel it, and never give up on that painting. In the next chapter, we will go deeper into the law of the spoken word, examining how our words create reality and why it is so vital to keep our speech positive at all times. Chapter 3: The Power of the Spoken Word, the Magic Wand. My dear friends, if the imagination is the great architect of reality, then the spoken word is the magic wand that we wave every day, every hour, and even every minute. It creates, it destroys, it heals, it curses, and it paints the picture of your life stroke by stroke. There is a classic saying, a truth that has existed for millennia, and that we often hear in many cultures, which is that by your words you shall be justified, and by your words you shall be condemned. That sounds quite serious, doesn't it? As if every word we utter is being recorded in a book of destiny. But in reality, it is much simpler and more intuitive than that. Let us analyze this saying for a moment, because being justified here is not just an external judgment, but rather the actualization of what we declare to be true about ourselves and our lives. When you constantly say that I can do it, I am worthy, or my life is full of blessings, you are waving your magic wand to summon those things into reality, meaning you are justifying your own success and happiness. Conversely, when you frequently complain, when you say I am not good enough, life is unfair, or I will certainly fail, you are condemning yourself. You are using your words to confirm those fears and limitations, and your subconscious mind, your most faithful servant, will obey every command you pass down, whether you are conscious of it or not. The subconscious does not distinguish between right and wrong. It only executes. So your spoken word is an absolute command. Now, let us talk about an aspect that perhaps many of us unintentionally fall into, which is negative joking. Have you ever heard someone, or perhaps yourself, say things like, "Oh my goodness, my luck is as black as coal. I must have been born to suffer." Or, well, it's all gone to ruin again in a very natural way, even accompanied by a smile? Or when a friend praises your talent, do you reply by saying, "I don't know anything. It was just luck. I'm so stupid"? My friends, this is one of the most subtle ways we harm ourselves, because your subconscious mind does not understand the concept of a joke. It has no sense of humor and simply records the information. When you constantly joke about your inadequacy, your poverty, or your failure, even as a social pleasantry, your subconscious will treat it as a directive. It will begin to arrange the events and experiences of your life to prove those jokes true. You see, the universe does not lack a sense of humor, but it is very serious about responding to what you emit. Your words are a frequency, a vibration, and when you emit a negative frequency, even through a joke, you are attracting corresponding things toward you. Ask yourself why you would want to reinforce a negative belief, even for a moment, by joking. Because although we often do it out of habit, an over-modest culture, or a desire for a laugh, the price to pay for that laughter could be a future you do not want at all. So how do we use our magic wand in the wisest way? There are certain words we should be cautious about using, and words we should actively include in our vocabulary to attract good fortune. First, regarding words to avoid or extremely limit, these are words like failure, impossible, or never, because these words are invisible walls you build for yourself to lock all doors of potential and tell the subconscious that all effort is futile. Instead of saying, "I can't," say, "I am learning how," or "I will find a way." You should also avoid using the words difficult or hard work, because constantly labeling everything as difficult will make you feel heavy and tired before you even begin. Think of them as challenges, opportunities to learn, or small obstacles. Similarly, limit mentioning disease or illness, because repeating them not only attracts but reinforces a state of poor health. When speaking about health, focus on wellness and energy. For example, instead of saying, "I have a headache," say, "I am taking care so my mind becomes more relaxed." Words like poor, lack, or not enough also create a scarcity mindset. When you declare yourself poor, you are rejecting the flow of prosperity. So focus on abundance. Do not say you are tired or exhausted, because that makes your body and mind believe you are in that state. Instead, say, "I need to rest, or I will recharge my energy." Avoid low-energy words like hate, angry, or negative, and find more constructive ways to express emotions, and drop the habit of saying, "if only," or "I wish," because they imply regret for the past and place you in a position of lack. Instead, focus on what you have or what you will do. On the contrary, there are words you should use to attract luck and prosperity, such as success, perfect, or wonderful, to describe your goals and results. Use words like can, easily, or feasible to expand your mind to infinite possibilities. Because when you say "I can," you are commanding the subconscious to find every resource to manifest it. Frequently mention luck, blessings, and abundance. The more you talk about them, the more you attract them into your finances and relationships. Use words like healthy, full of energy, and steady to affirm your health. Even when you feel unwell, say "I am on the road to recovery," or "every day I am getting healthier." Affirmations of prosperity, wealth, and fullness will help you see them manifest because you declare that you are worthy. In particular, the two words grateful and thank you have the greatest transformative power because gratitude is the door that opens to all blessings. The more grateful you are, the more you have to be grateful for. Use the highest energy words like love, harmony, and joy for your living environment. And finally, be very careful with the phrase "I am," because anything you place after it becomes a declaration of your essence, such as "I am healthy," "I am successful," or "I am happy." Remember that your magic wand is always in your hand, and you wave it every time you open your mouth. Every word you utter is a seed sown into the fertile soil of your subconscious. Do you want to sow seeds of scarcity and failure? Or do you want to sow seeds of abundance, health, success, and joy? My challenge for you this week is to become an observer of your own words. Listen to what you say. Take note of negative jokes and gradually replace them with high-energy words and positive affirmations. You will be surprised at the change this brings because you deserve a wonderful life, and the power to create it lies right in your words. Use this magic wand consciously, lovingly, and wisely. Chapter 4: The Law of Non-Resistance. Going with the flow. Have you ever felt like you were pushing against an invisible wall, where the harder you push, the more exhausted you feel, and the more effort you put in, the worse everything seems to become? It feels as if you are struggling within a tangled mess with no way out, and if so, you are directly experiencing the paradox of the law of resistance. This is a core principle in the game of life that Scovel Shinn pointed out very clearly. The paradox that what you resist persists. Think about it. When you resist something, be it a financial problem, a difficult relationship, an unwanted delay, or even a negative emotion, you are sending out an energy of confrontation, tension, and fear. and what happens when you constantly focus your energy on something. It grows and it strengthens. It is much like being stuck in quicksand. The more you struggle and try to escape at all costs, the deeper you sink. Or like the Chinese finger trap, where the harder you try to pull your fingers out, the tighter the trap becomes, and the only way to get out is to relax, let go, and push the two ends of the trap together. It is the same in life. When you resist lack, you are telling the universe that you believe in this lack and that you are fighting against it. When you resist an unpleasant person, you are maintaining a negative connection with that person in your mind. The energy of resistance does not solve the problem. It only keeps the problem there and even makes it stronger because, at an energetic level, you are giving it your attention, and attention is fuel. So how do we escape this vicious cycle? And how do we overcome adversity without direct confrontation? The secret lies in going with the flow instead of against it. And Scovel Shinn told a wonderful story about a woman named Mai to illustrate this. Mai was a very active person with a stable job, but she was in an extremely urgent situation where she needed to find a new apartment in a very short amount of time because her old lease was ending and could not be renewed. As soon as she heard the news, Mai began to worry and wondered how she could possibly find a suitable apartment in such a short time when prices were expensive and good places were unavailable. So she threw herself into a frantic search, calling everyone she knew, browsing the web constantly, and viewing dozens of apartments every day. But the strange thing was that the more she searched, the more stuck she felt. Some were too far, some were too small, some had difficult landlords, some had sky-high prices, and some had noisy neighbors. Every time she returned from a viewing, she felt even more disappointed, anxious, and cornered. She complained to her friends, talking about the difficulties and how harsh the real estate market was, and she kept saying that she couldn't find an apartment, that she hated house hunting, and that she was afraid she would have no place to stay. The anxiety, fear, and pressure created a massive cloud of negative energy around her, causing her to look at everything with a critical and pessimistic eye. And so the universe continued to reflect back exactly what she was emitting: more bad options and more disappointment. The harder she tried to push back against the difficult situation, the tighter it clung to her, until one day, with only a few days left on her lease, Mai was completely exhausted and decided to give it all up. She no longer had the strength to worry or search. She sat down, and in that moment, she decided to stop resisting, stop complaining, stop blaming, and stop pushing. She said to herself that, all right, she had tried her best, and now she would entrust everything to infinite intelligence, for there would be a perfect apartment for her, and it would appear at the right time and the right place because she trusted. Instead of begging, she began to bless her circumstances. She blessed her housing situation, the apartment waiting for her, and the ease and grace of the process. Just a few days later, a miracle happened when a longtime friend suddenly called to say they knew someone who had just transferred for work and urgently needed to rent out a very beautiful, affordable apartment that was especially close to Mai's workplace and fully furnished for immediate move-in. Everything went unexpectedly smoothly, as if the whole universe had arranged it. And Mai found her ideal apartment not by fighting or resisting, but by letting go and trusting. Mai's story brings us to an incredibly powerful technique that Scovel Shinn encourages us to apply, which is to bless the situation. It may sound a bit confusing to bless a negative thing that we want to escape from, but in reality, this is not about enjoying the situation or passively accepting it, but rather actively releasing the negative energy we have been pouring into it through resistance. When you bless a negative situation, you are performing a spiritual act of acceptance and love. You send a signal to the universe that you are no longer fighting, but instead trust that everything is happening for a higher reason and that a better solution is waiting. The way to practice this technique is very simple. First, you need to identify the problem to know what you are resisting, whether it is a debt, a difficult person, an illness, or the delay of a goal. Then, stop resisting and stop complaining by being aware that worrying only makes the problem persist longer. Take a deep breath and decide to let go of the tension. Finally, begin to bless. Instead of saying, "I hate this" or "I can't stand it," say, "I bless this specific situation, and I know that a perfect solution is being prepared for me." You can say, "I bless that difficult person. I send love and light to them, and I trust that everything will be resolved harmoniously." Or, "I bless the flow of money into my life and the wealth and prosperity that is coming." Or, "I bless my health and know that my body is healing itself and becoming healthier every day." When you bless the situation, you are transforming the energy of resistance and fear into the energy of acceptance and love, so that you are cooperating with the flow of life. For example, when you are in a traffic jam, instead of being frustrated, say, "I bless this traffic, because perhaps this is the time I need to relax or think of something important." Or when criticized by others, say, "I bless the person who criticized me, because they may have their own problems, and I bless my own inner peace." I have personally applied this principle many times. Whenever I face a difficulty where I feel I am pushing against it, I remember the saying that what you resist persists, and then I stop, breathe, and bless the situation. The solution doesn't always appear immediately, but I always feel a sense of relief and an internal release of energy from which new paths and unexpected solutions often open up on their own. Going with the flow does not mean passive surrender or ignoring what happens, but is a conscious act and a powerful choice to release yourself from the imprisonment of fear and resistance. It is about trusting in the infinite intelligence of the universe, that it always wants what is best for you. So try applying the technique of blessing the situation in those moments where you feel stuck, to observe how the energy around you changes and how new doors open unexpectedly. Chapter 5: The Law of Forgiveness and the Law of Karma. Have you ever felt like you were being pulled back by invisible strings? A nameless burden, a sense of entanglement, or persistent memories of someone or something from the past that hurt you? We all carry those burdens to some extent, and the goal of this chapter is to help you release yourself from the weight of the past so you can embrace the new. To truly begin playing this game of life with the utmost freedom. Let us start by looking back at a concept that many of us may have misunderstood or interpreted incorrectly, which is karma. When mentioning karma, most people immediately think of something punitive, like, if you do something bad, you'll be hit by karma, or she's unlucky because of the karma she created in a past life. Even I used to believe that karma was a cosmic machine of justice, where every mistake had to be paid for with a corresponding form of suffering. But in the book, The Game of Life, as well as in many other spiritual philosophies I have studied, karma is not punishment. Rather, it is a feedback mechanism. It is not the universe judging you, but the universe teaching you. Think of it as a mirror. What you send out, whether it be thoughts, words, or actions, will return to you. It is not meant to punish you for doing something wrong, but to clearly show you the cause and effect of the energy you have emitted. If you sow seeds of anger, you will reap experiences that bring anger. And if you sow seeds of kindness, you will reap blessings. It is as simple as that. It is a physical law of energy, much like gravity. There is no personal intent, no judgment, only a lesson. When we change our perspective of karma from punishment to a lesson, you will see a powerful shift in how you face unwanted things happening in your life. Instead of blaming yourself or resenting fate, you will ask what the lesson is here and what energy you sent out that led to this, and that is where true growth begins, where you can proactively change future results. And that brings us to the second point, which is also the most important point in this chapter: forgiveness. When I talk about forgiveness, I do not mean that you have to forget the hurts or overlook the unacceptable behaviors of others. I also do not mean that you are obligated to reconcile or continue a relationship with someone who has hurt you. Forgiveness, as understood by myself and this book, is an act of freedom for yourself. Imagine it like this. When you hold on to resentment, anger, or pain regarding a person or event from the past, you are gripping an invisible cord that connects you to that person and that event. That cord can be a burden, an anchor dragging you down, ensuring that your entire energy, attention, and emotion are tied to a negative thing that has passed. You know the saying that holding on to resentment is like drinking poison and expecting the other person to die. It is exactly like that. The person you are resentful toward might be living their life happily or miserably, and they might have no idea that you are still being tormented day and night by what they did. But you are the one suffering and wasting your precious energy on negative emotions. Forgiveness is the act of cutting that cord yourself. You don't need to tell them. They don't even need to know. You do it for yourself to release your energy from the bonds of the past and create space in your heart and mind for better, newer things. When you forgive, you are not saying their actions were right. You are simply saying that you choose not to let their actions continue to define your life, and you choose your own peace. And sometimes we need to forgive ourselves too. Forgive the mistakes and the unwise choices we have made, because we are human, and we also have the right to be wrong and to learn. It sounds abstract, doesn't it? But now, I will guide you through a simple yet extremely powerful practice so you can truly experience this sense of release. The cutting the invisible cords exercise. Find a quiet place where you won't be disturbed. Sit or lie down comfortably. Close your eyes and take 3 deep breaths. Inhale slowly through your nose. Hold for a few seconds, then exhale slowly through your mouth, imagining that you are pushing all stress and anxiety out of your body. Now, think of someone who has hurt you, or a situation from the past where you still feel entangled or uneasy. It could be a friend, a family member, a colleague, or even yourself. As you visualize that person or situation, try to feel if there are any invisible energy cords connecting you to them. This cord might appear in any form in your mind, such as a heavy chain, a delicate thread, or a gray band of energy connecting from your heart, your abdomen, or the top of your head. Just let the image emerge naturally and feel how heavy or uncomfortable that cord is. And now, with all the sincerity of your heart, whisper or say out loud these words: I forgive you. I release you from all resentment and all the negative energy I once directed toward you. I forgive myself for holding on to this pain for all this time, and I release myself from all self-blame and all the burdens of the past. I wish for you to find peace and happiness on your own path. Then, imagine that you are holding a pair of light scissors, an energy sword, or whatever tool you prefer, and with a decisive and powerful action, cut that invisible cord. Cut it away, and feel the moment the cord snaps apart with a surge of relief and an internal release. Now, visualize the end of the cord remaining on you, being healed, wrapped in golden light or healing purple light. Feel that energy filling the space that was just created. Take another deep breath to feel the relief and freedom in your soul. And when you are ready, slowly open your eyes. This is not an exercise to be done only once. You may need to repeat it many times with the same person or with different people. But the important thing is that you are proactively choosing to release yourself. The law of forgiveness and the law of karma are not meant to bind us, but to set us free. When we understand that karma is a lesson and forgiveness is a gift we grant ourselves, we open up a vast space to receive good things. You deserve to live a light, peaceful life filled with positive energy. So release yourself from the burdens of the past, so your heart and soul can be wide open to receive all the wonders the universe is waiting to give you. Play this game of life as freely as you can. Chapter 6: Casting the Burden, the Art of Letting Go. In the game of life, Florence Scovel Shinn spoke very clearly about the power of casting the burden. But the question remains: to whom do we cast it, and to what do we entrust it? It is to the universe, to the subconscious, or to the superconscious, depending on how you choose to name it. And our goal in this chapter is to learn how to have absolute faith in that infinite power. When we encounter a stalemate and when every path seems to be closed. To understand this better, let us visualize a metaphor: the train of life. Imagine that you are standing at a station and you need to travel to a distant city, which represents a major goal in your life. At this point, you have two choices. One is to carry all your cumbersome luggage yourself. Suitcases filled with clothes, bags, and backpacks stuffed with worries, doubts, and what-ifs. And then try to run along the tracks toward your destination on your own. You will certainly become tired and exhausted, and perhaps you will never reach your desired place, or if you do, you will be completely depleted of energy. The second choice is to buy a train ticket, after which you step onto the carriage, find a comfortable seat to sip a cup of coffee, read a book, enjoy the scenery, and let that giant, powerful train carry you there. The train is designed to transport thousands of people and tons of cargo. It has its own tracks, a clear schedule, and most importantly, an engine strong enough to overcome any terrain. Clearly, the second choice makes much more sense. Yet in life, we often choose the first way as we cling tightly to our burdens, trying to solve everything ourselves and racing against time and circumstances. We believe that we must control everything, find every solution, and carry every weight ourselves, only to find that we end up exhausted, disappointed, and frequently feeling stuck. My dear friends, the universe and your subconscious are that giant train, and your task is not to carry the burden and run by yourself, but to buy the ticket, which means placing your faith, stating your intention, and casting the burden. Then leisurely stepping onto the train and letting it carry you, allowing the infinite intelligence and the transcendent power within and around you to do the rest of the work. So how do you buy a ticket and truly cast the burden? Florence Scovel, Shinn, teaches us to use affirmations, also known as scientific prayers, which are not empty words, but clear commands sent to your superconscious. When facing a problem or a knot that seems impossible to untie, speak to your subconscious clearly and with firm faith, as if you are talking to a giant, wise, and all-powerful friend. You can affirm that I cast this burden on the superconscious. It knows every path to success and the perfect solution. I am released from this burden, and I let infinite intelligence handle it. If you are specifically worried about finances, say I cast this financial burden on the superconscious, because I know that my supply is endless, and I will be guided to the best opportunities and solutions. Regarding health, affirm that I cast this health condition on the healing intelligence within me, and trust in the perfection and balance of the universe. And if you feel a general sense of anxiety without a specific cause, say, I cast all my worries and fears onto divine intelligence and trust that everything is working for my highest good, and I will always be protected and guided. The most important thing is to say these words with a steadfast faith and not just repeat them like a machine, because you are truly transferring the responsibility. Imagine that you are putting down a very heavy box or handing it over to a giant who can carry it away with ease. When you have put it down, it means you are no longer carrying it, and you feel a sense of relief, which is exactly the feeling you need to have when casting the burden. Do not try to figure out the way in which the superconscious will solve the problem, because that is not your business. Your business is to cast the burden and trust. Just as when you buy a train ticket, you do not need to know how the locomotive works or which route the driver takes. You only need to know that the train will take you to your destination. After you have cast the burden and bought the ticket, this is the stage where many people make mistakes, because the hardest part is to stand still. This means that you should not worry any further. Do not doubt, and do not try to find a way to solve the problem yourself after you have just handed it over. Nor should you keep thinking about it or contemplating doing this or that. It is like having planted a seed in the ground, but then digging it up every day to see if it has taken root or sprouted, which prevents the seed from growing because you are interfering with its natural process. When you cast the burden on the superconscious, it begins to work immediately by releasing energy, connecting information, and forming solutions. But its process may not be what you expect, or according to the time frame you have set. Your job is to trust that infinite intelligence, maintain your faith, and let the perfect solutions appear without interference or doubt. When you worry, you are unintentionally picking up the burden you just put down and running after the train again. So wait calmly and live your life happily and positively, because everything is being arranged for your highest good. Sometimes standing still also includes being ready to act when a clear intuition or a sign appears, but that action must come from peace rather than from anxiety or impatience. The art of letting go is not actually giving up, but is instead the act of empowering a greater intelligence than yourself to guide and lead you. When you learn to cast the burden and stand still, you will find life much lighter, because deadlocks will be miraculously removed and new doors will open, leaving you amazed at the way the universe arranges everything for you. Remember the story of the train so you can buy your ticket, step on, and enjoy the journey, because you no longer need to carry that burden yourself. And in the next chapter, we will explore an equally important aspect of maintaining this positive mental state and receiving these good things. Chapter 7. Love, the universal key. It sounds a bit cliché, doesn't it? Love is the universal key. You have surely heard this a million times. But believe me, this is not just a mere romantic concept. In Shinn's philosophy, love is not just an emotion, but a cosmic law, a power source so potent that it can dissolve every barrier and every negativity while attracting all good things toward us. Our goal today is to explore together the unbelievable power of love to both dissolve and attract. Part 1. Love is not weakness, but the strongest attractive force in the universe. Have you ever thought that qualities like love, kindness, and compassion are weaknesses that are easily exploited? That in a competitive world, we need to be tough and jagged to survive? I would bet that more than a few times we have told ourselves this, or at least witnessed those around us behaving that way. But Florence Scovel Shinn completely challenges this view. She does not only say that love is not weakness, she asserts that love is the strongest attractive force in the universe, Sounds a bit grand, right? Think of it this way. You cannot see gravity, but it is always there, working ceaselessly to keep everything from floating into space. You cannot see magnetic force, but it pulls magnets together powerfully. Love is the same. It is a vibrational frequency, an invisible yet incredibly powerful energy field. Shinn explains that we live in a universe of laws, and one of the most fundamental laws is that like attracts like. When you emit the frequency of love, not only romantic love, but compassion, understanding, gratitude, and kindness, you are creating an energy field that attracts similar things toward you. Think about it. What makes you want to spend time with someone? It is surely the pleasantness, the warmth, and the sincerity that the person radiates, isn't it? What makes a job run smoothly? It is often the cooperation and mutual respect among team members. Those things, in the end, all stem from a form of love. Conversely, when we hold hatred, anger, or envy in our hearts, we are also emitting a frequency. And guess what will be attracted? It is exactly those situations, people, and experiences that carry similar negative energy. This is not punishment. It is a natural law of energy. The universe does not judge. The universe only responds to what you emit. Therefore, cast aside the thought that love is weakness. It is an extraordinary power, a giant magnet capable of shaping your life. Part 2. Overcoming fear in relationships with unconditional love. So how do we apply this power, especially in relationships where fear often reigns? I believe that everyone has experienced these fears. The fear of being hurt, the fear of not being reciprocated, the fear of abandonment, the fear of not being good enough, or the fear of being judged. These fears are the greatest barriers preventing us from fully experiencing the power of love. We often love conditionally, such as saying, "I will love you if you do this for me." "I will open up if you don't disappoint me," or "I will forgive if you change." But Shinn says that the key to overcoming these fears is unconditional love. Sounds idealized and hard to do, right? But let's understand it correctly. Unconditional love does not mean you allow others to take advantage of you or that you accept all wrong behavior. No. Unconditional love stems from the very center of yourself. It is a state of giving without expecting anything in return. When you love without attached conditions, you release yourself from the chains of expectation, control, and dependence on others for your happiness. You understand that happiness and love are things you create from within, not things you get from the outside. Shinn emphasizes that it is fear itself that creates the barrier, not love. When you are afraid, you build protective walls. But those walls do not only prevent others from hurting you, they also prevent true love from reaching you and prevent you from giving love fully. Try focusing on giving love, understanding, compassion, and forgiveness without expecting anything in return. For example, in a relationship with conflict, instead of blaming or waiting for the other person to change, try sending positive thoughts and compassion toward them. Visualize them with love and understanding, even if they are hurting you. This is not pretending. It is a conscious choice to change your own vibrational frequency. When was the last time you truly loved someone without thinking about what they would do for you? Or the last time you forgave someone without needing them to apologize in the way you wanted? That is unconditional love in action. It releases you from the burden of anger, resentment, and fear, opening a space for better things. Part 3. The story of the woman who healed her illness by changing her attitude from hatred to love. To prove the unbelievable, dissolving power of love, Florence Scovel Shinn told many real-life stories. There is a very powerful story about a woman who struggled with a chronic illness, a disease that no one could help her with because it seemed to stem from a deep source of negative energy, hatred. That woman carried in her heart a deep-seated hatred for a relative who had harmed her in the past. This hatred had permeated her mind and every cell of her body, manifesting outwardly as illness. Doctors were helpless. Every treatment method was ineffective. She sank into suffering, both physically and mentally. A friend who understood spiritual laws came and told her, "You will never be cured until you forgive that person." This advice initially met with fierce resistance. "How can I forgive the person who caused me so much suffering?" she cried. But then, out of deep misery and desperation, she decided to try. Every day, she began practicing an exercise. She closed her eyes, and though it was very difficult, she tried to send love and forgiveness to the person she detested. She didn't feel loving right away, but she persisted, treating it as a command from the universe. She repeated affirmations like, "I forgive you. I send love to you. You are released, and so am I." Gradually, a miracle happened. The hatred in her heart began to vanish. Negative energy was replaced by a sense of peace and relief, and along with the change in her soul, her illness also began to subside. Her health gradually recovered in an unbelievable way, to the point where doctors were amazed. This story was not a random miracle, but clear proof of the law of love that Shinn spoke of. When that woman changed her attitude from hatred to love, she changed her own vibrational frequency. From the frequency of illness and suffering, she shifted to the frequency of healing and peace. And the universe responded by bringing her health and release. My dear friends, through what we have just explored, you have perhaps begun to feel that love is not just something vague, but a real, tangible force capable of transforming life. Love is a power of dissolution because it dissolves hatred, anger, fear, and envy. When you send out love, negative energies cannot exist in the same space as it. Just as light dispels darkness, love dispels all negativity. Love is also a power of attraction because it attracts people, opportunities, and conditions that match its own frequency. When you vibrate at the frequency of love, you will attract prosperity, happiness, health, and wonderful relationships. If you are facing any negativity in your life, a difficult relationship, a financial deadlock, a health problem, or simply a heavy feeling in your heart, try using this universal key. Start sending love to the person who hurt you through forgiveness, to the difficult situation through faith and peace, to yourself through compassion and acceptance, and even send love to illnesses with faith in healing. This is not a switch you flip and everything changes instantly. This is a process of practice, a conscious choice every day. But believe me, the results will far exceed what you can imagine. Remember, love is not just something you feel, but something you do. Act from love, and you will see the game of your life change spectacularly. Chapter 8: Intuition, the Voice of Truth. You know, in this life, have you ever stood at a crossroads, your mind spinning with 1,000 logical reasons and dozens of pieces of advice from friends and relatives? But deep inside, there was a very small, very soft voice urging you to go in a completely different direction. That voice is often labeled by us as irrational, silly, or even dangerous. But that is your intuition. And our goal today is to learn how to listen to it, and more importantly, to distinguish it from its greatest enemy, fear. First, we need to understand how a hunch differs from the logical calculations of the rational mind. Imagine intuition like a sudden flash of lightning illuminating the darkness of night. It is an instantaneous knowing that does not require any process of analysis, comparison, or listing pros and cons. It simply is. It is an inner urge, a sudden flash of an image, or a yes or no echoing in the mind without any concrete evidence to prove it, because it comes from a place deeper than your intellect. On the other hand, the rational mind is a wonderful analytical machine. It collects data, organizes information, and predicts outcomes based on the experience and knowledge you already possess. The intellect is essential for problem solving, planning, and making calculated decisions, But the problem is that it is often influenced by what we already know, by the fear of failure, and by the desire to control everything. So it can create endless what-if scenarios that paralyze us. For example, when you are looking to buy a house, your intellect will check the price, location, square footage, and amenities, comparing every single detail. But then, you step into a house that might not be perfect in every way according to logical standards, yet your heart, your soul, and your intuition suddenly whisper that this is it. This is my home. A strange sense of peace and familiarity washes over you. That is a hunch, and it needs no explanation. The biggest difference is that a hunch is usually accompanied by peace and clarity, even without evidence, whereas the intellect, when dominated by fear, is often accompanied by anxiety, chaos, and a need for control. Next are illogical decisions that bring about miraculous results. I believe each of us, at least once in our lives, has experienced this. Times when you did something that everyone said was crazy, or you yourself couldn't explain why, yet the results far exceeded all expectations. I have a friend who was in a senior management position with a dream salary, a stable life, and a happy family. But one day, he decided to give it all up to pursue a passion for wildlife photography. Everyone was shocked. His wife was worried, and his own intellect protested, asking if he was crazy to throw away a career built over many years for something so vague. But there was a voice inside him that kept urging him, an intense feeling that this was the path he had to take. He couldn't explain it. It simply felt right. And you know what? Today, he is a world-famous photographer. His photos are highly sought after, and most importantly, he is truly happy and fulfilled. Or another example, a young businessman intended to invest in a very promising project where all financial analyses showed it was a bargain. But when faced with the opportunity, he felt an unusual contraction in his stomach, a feeling that something was not right. There was no specific reason, just a hunch. He decided not to invest, and a few months later, that project completely collapsed due to unforeseen legal issues. His intuition had saved him from a massive loss. This is not mere luck. It is the guidance of a higher intelligence, a part of you that is always connected to the infinite field of information in the universe, which the game of life refers to as tuning your frequency to receive divine guidance. So how do we train ourselves to hear that still small voice of intuition every day amidst the hustle and bustle of life and the noise of fear? The first step is to create a quiet space, because intuition never shouts, it whispers. So you need meditation, even if only for 5 to 10 minutes a day. to sit still, close your eyes, and focus on your breath. Do not try to search for intuition. Just create the space for it to emerge. The second step is to start with small decisions. Instead of immediately trying to use intuition to decide whom to marry or whether to quit your job right away. Try asking yourself what you should have for lunch, which route you should take to the office, what clothes you should wear, or when an unknown number calls, whether you feel like picking up. Try following your first feeling, even if it seems irrational, and then observe the results to build trust in this voice. The third step, which is the key, is to distinguish intuition from fear through the ultimate test. Intuition is usually accompanied by a sense of lightness, peace, expansion, and an inexplicable knowing. It does not come with pressure or urge you to hurry. It is simply a clear direction that makes you feel right when following it. Conversely, fear is often accompanied by a feeling of contraction, anxiety, and unease in the chest or stomach. It provides a dozen reasons why you shouldn't do it and creates procrastination and self-doubt. One way to test it is to ask yourself, if I do this, how do I feel? Is it relief and excitement, or is it anxiety and a burden? The fourth step is to practice letting go of the result. When you follow intuition, do not cling too tightly to a specific outcome, because the goal is to trust the inner guidance, not to achieve something according to the ego's desires. Sometimes, intuition leads you on a roundabout path that seems unrelated, but it eventually opens a much larger door than you originally intended. The book, The Game of Life, teaches us that listening to intuition is one of the most powerful rules because it connects us with infinite intelligence. It is the shortest path to living a truly full life without regret and turning seemingly irrational dreams into reality. Try applying these things today, starting from small details, and please share your experiences with me. I would love to hear your story. Thank you for listening. I will see you in the next chapter, and I wish for you to always stay connected to the voice of truth within you. Chapter 9, The Divine Design, Your Perfect Place. The goal of this chapter is not just for you to find a job or a role, but for you to discover your deepest life purpose and the way to express yourself fully, holding nothing back. We are going to talk about finding the home of your soul, the place where you belong and shine most radiantly. I want to begin with a powerful affirmation that Florence Scovel Shinn reminded us of, and I believe in it absolutely. There is a place that only you can fill, and something that only you can do. It sounds grand, perhaps even a bit arrogant, doesn't it? Only me? Impossible. But think a little more deeply. This universe, this creator, never creates two things perfectly identical. Even identical twins have their own traits, their own vibrations, and their own fingerprints. You are a unique combination of experience, talent, passion, and a distinct soul of which there has never been and will never be a second copy. Imagine life as a giant jigsaw puzzle. Each of us is a piece. No two pieces will ever be exactly the same in shape, color, or position. And there is only one perfect place for your piece. If you do not place yourself there, that spot will remain empty, and the picture will never be complete. Or think of a symphony orchestra. Every instrument, from the tiny violin to the large drum, has its own role and its own sound. If you are a flute, you cannot try to make the sound of a trumpet. And if you do not play your melody, the entire concert will lack an important part, a unique note that only you can create. I know that many of us, perhaps all of us at some point in our lives, have felt lost and aimless, not knowing what we were born for or where we should go. We look around and see others who seem to have found their path. They are successful and happy, and we wonder, what about me? Where is my place? But let me affirm to you once again, you are not a flawed version of someone else or a faint copy. You are an original masterpiece created with a divine purpose. Our task is to discover that purpose, that divine design. So, how do we discover this divine design? How do we ask the universe to reveal our perfect place? Florence Shinn taught that we need to ask clearly and with firm faith. This is not a vague request like, I want to know what I should do. It needs to be specific and sincere from the heart. Try practicing this with me right now. You can whisper, or better yet, say aloud, repeating these words in the way that feels best to you. Divine Spirit, infinite intelligence within me and through me. I demand that the divine design of my life be clearly revealed to me. I demand that the path I was born to walk, the work I was born to do, be manifested perfectly. I demand that my perfect place be shown now. I am willing to listen and act upon divine guidance with deep faith and gratitude. Let these words sink into you. This is not just a prayer. It is a powerful affirmation, a declaration to the universe. When you ask for this, you are sending a clear signal. But asking is not enough. After asking, you need to do 3 things. First is to let go of control and surrender. Do not try to think about how it will come or what it will look like. The wisdom of the universe is much greater than your finite intellect. trust that the path will be revealed at the perfect time and in the most perfect way. Second is to be open to receiving. The divine design can be revealed through a chance conversation, a book you happen to pick up, a sudden idea, a job opportunity, or a strong urge from your intuition. Pay attention to the signs and the inner whispers. Third is to act on intuition. When a door opens, no matter how small, walk through it. When an idea arises, start implementing it. Even the smallest steps are a part of the journey. Do not wait until the entire path is carpeted in red. Take the first step with faith. While searching for your design, there is a trap that many of us fall into, and it can seriously lead us astray. That is comparing ourselves to others. In the digital age, social media makes this easier than ever. We scroll through perfect photos, brilliant success stories, and admirable achievements of others. And then, unconsciously, we begin to measure our own value based on those metrics. They have a house, I don't. They earn more money than me. They seem happier than me. They have found their passion, while I am still lost. My friend, comparing yourself to others is like trying to fit a piece of one puzzle into another. It never fits. It only causes disappointment, self-doubt, and most importantly, it distracts you from searching for your own divine design. Everyone is their own universe. They have their own journey, their own challenges, and most importantly, they have their own divine design. Their design is not for you, and your design is not for them. When you spend time and energy comparing, you are taking away precious energy that you should be using to focus on discovering and developing yourself. Stop looking sideways. Turn your gaze inward. Focus on discovering and appreciating what makes you unique, the hidden talents, the secret joys, the core values that only you possess. Believe that when you stop comparing, you will begin to see your path more clearly, the signs that the universe is sending to you. To find your life purpose and full self-expression, you need 3 things. 1 is a rock-solid faith that you are unique, an irreplaceable piece in the great tapestry of life. 2 is the courage to ask the universe to reveal your divine design and the willingness to listen and act. 3 is the discipline to stop comparing yourself to others, to focus entirely on your own inner journey. When you do this, you will not just find a job or a role. You will find your perfect place where all your talents, passions, and purpose blend together, creating a life full of meaning, fulfillment, and wholeness. You will truly play the game of life at your best because you are playing your own game. Start today. Ask, trust, and stop comparing. Your perfect place is waiting for you. Chapter 10. Powerful Affirmations. We are at Chapter 10. Powerful Affirmations. Florence Scovel Shinn taught us that life is a game of giving and receiving, of cause and effect, and the most important thing is what we say to ourselves, to the universe, and to our subconscious mind. Affirmations are the key. They are not merely positive statements, but intentional commands, repeated to erase old, limiting beliefs and outdated programs deeply rooted in the subconscious, replacing them with new, stronger, more positive and correct ones. So, how can we use these affirmations most effectively? The key lies in repetition, and even more importantly, the timing of that repetition. Why do we need to recite these affirmations in the early morning and before going to sleep? First, in the morning, immediately after waking up, our mind is like a blank slate. It has not yet been distracted by daily worries and pressures. This is the golden time to sow positive seeds into the fertile soil of the subconscious. When you start your day with powerful affirmations, you are setting a positive frequency for the entire long day. You are commanding your subconscious to seek and attract good things that match what you have just declared. Second, in the evening, before going to sleep, is another golden time. As we drift off into sleep, the door to the subconscious is open widest. The final thoughts and feelings before sleep will be processed and deeply engraved into the subconscious throughout the night. Therefore, instead of letting the worries and stresses of the day occupy your mind, proactively sow seeds of peace, love, and success. Your subconscious will work with those messages while you sleep, creating your reality when you wake up. It is important not only to read, but to feel every word. Visualize the things you are saying as having already become reality. Allow your emotions to connect with those statements. Now, I want to invite you, right here, right now, to murmur along with me. Don't just listen. Let these words echo in your mind, and if possible, speak them aloud, even if softly. Together, we will create a powerful imprint on our subconscious. Take a deep breath, relax your body, and open your heart to receive. Regarding perfect health, I am the perfect image of health. Every cell in my body is filled with energy and vitality. I am grateful for my body, a miraculous machine that always functions perfectly. I love and care for myself completely. Perfect health is my divine right, and I accept it right now. Regarding finance and prosperity, money comes to me easily and continuously from various sources. I am a magnet attracting prosperity and opportunity. I am worthy of all the good and wealth in life. I always have enough money to pay for all my needs and desires. I am grateful for the wealth flowing into my life every day. Regarding love and relationships, I love myself unconditionally and completely. I am a magnet attracting true and deep love. All my relationships are filled with respect, understanding, and love. I give love and receive love abundantly. My heart is wide open to receive and give infinite love. How do you feel? Even though it has only been a few minutes, can you feel any small shift in your energy? That is the power of affirmations. Every time you repeat them, you are nurturing a new seed in the garden of your subconscious. Don't stop here. Choose a few affirmations that resonate most with you. Or even better, create your own affirmations. As long as they are always in the present tense, positive, and you truly feel them. Write them down on paper. Stick them where you frequently see them. On the mirror, on your desk, as your phone wallpaper. And most importantly, read them every morning after waking up and every evening before going to bed. Turn this habit into a sacred ritual to nourish your soul and create your life. Remember, your subconscious does not distinguish between what is real and what is false. It simply executes what you sow into it. Therefore, sow seeds of greatness, of love, of health, and of prosperity. Trust in this process and be persistent. Results will come, sometimes in ways you could never expect. After diving deep into Shinn's philosophies and examples, I want to dedicate this section to summarizing for you the 3 most core points, the 3 golden keys that I believe, if you master and apply them, your life will never be the same again. My goal is to condense everything simply and clearly so you can carry them with you and apply them immediately. This will be the compass for your journey. Let's get started. The first core point Shinn wants us to engrave in our minds is: life is a game of boomerangs. It sounds simple, but think deeply about it. Every thought, every word, every emotion, and every action of yours is like throwing a boomerang out into the universe. And according to the immutable laws of the universe, that boomerang will inevitably return to you. Shinn emphasizes that nothing happens by chance. Everything in your life is a reflection of what you have sent out. If you sow fear, worry, and doubt about your financial abilities, you will reap lack and debt. Conversely, if you sow firm faith in abundance, in your own abilities, in love, and in gratitude, then those very good things will be drawn toward you miraculously. Think about it. How many times have you complained about something and then you see it reappear? or when you start a day with a positive attitude, you encounter nothing but good luck. That is the law of the boomerang in action. Shinn is not talking about karma in the sense of punishment, but rather an inescapable law of cause and effect regarding energy. What you give, you will receive. This is a powerful reminder for us to become more conscious of what we are throwing out every day. In summary, remember, life is a mirror reflecting you. As you sow, so shall you reap. Proactively sow the seeds you wish to harvest. Next, the second point that Shinn considers extremely important, and I personally have seen it change the game for so many people, is the power of words. Shinn affirms that your words are your magic wand. It sounds fairy tale-like, but in reality, it is very scientific in a spiritual way. Every time you utter a word, you are not just making a sound. You are emitting an energy frequency, a command, an affirmation of your reality. Words have the power to create or destroy. When you constantly say, "I can't do it," "I'm not good enough," "money is hard to earn," you are using your magic wand to create that very reality. You are commanding the universe to bring me helplessness and lack. Conversely, when you start changing your vocabulary, shifting to positive affirmations, "I am capable," "I am worthy of all good things," "money comes to me easily and abundantly," you are waving your magic wand in a completely different direction. You are creating a new blueprint for your life, and the universe will begin to arrange everything to manifest those declarations. Shinn even advises us to use affirmations as if what we want has already happened. Instead of saying, "I will be rich," say, "I am rich and prosperous." Instead of saying, "I wish I were healthy," say, "Perfect health is overflowing within me. I have experienced this myself." There were periods when I frequently grumbled or used negative terms to describe myself and my situation. And just as Shinn said, my life reflected exactly that. It wasn't until I became aware and started to filter every word I said, changing them into positive affirmations, that things began to shift. It wasn't an instant miracle, but a gradual, sustainable, and powerful change. In summary, your words are the blueprint for your life. Use them to build what you want. Do not use them to destroy. And finally, the third point, perhaps the deepest, and the one requiring the most courage, is trust your intuition and let go of fear. Shinn calls intuition the voice of the superconscious, or the infinite intelligence within each of us. It is a source of divine wisdom that is never wrong and always knows what is best for you. We often tend to overanalyze, relying on logic and the opinions of others, while ignoring that hunch, that small voice inside. Shinn encourages us to be still, listen, and trust that inner guidance. Intuition will be the lamp lighting the way, the divine compass guiding you when you stand at a crossroads. However, there is one major barrier preventing us from connecting with and following the superconscious, and that is fear. Fear of failure, fear of judgment, fear of not having enough money, fear of not being loved. Fear distorts our vision, causing us to make wrong decisions or delay action. Shinn teaches that when you receive a flash from intuition, act immediately, regardless of fear. Fear is only an illusion. When you trust the superconscious and let go of fear, you are allowing the universe to lead the way, allowing the most miraculous things to happen. You will find yourself protected and provided with everything necessary to fulfill your mission. How many times have you told yourself, "If only I had listened to my intuition"? Personally, many times. From small decisions to major choices in my career and life, whenever I ignored that inner feeling, I usually ran into trouble. Conversely, when I dared to trust and act, even with a bit of anxiety, everything unfolded with unexpected smoothness. That is when I felt a greater power guiding me. In summary, trust your intuition more than any other voice and courageously let go of fear to let the universe lead. So there you have it, the 3 core points from the book, The Game of Life and How to Play It, that we have explored together. 1. Life is a boomerang. As you sow, so shall you reap. Be conscious of what you are sending out. 2. Words are a magic wand. Change your words to change your reality. 3. Trust intuition and let go of fear. Let the infinite intelligence within you lead the way. Remember, these are not just empty theories. These are principles for living that you can apply today, right now. Start from the smallest things. Be more aware of your thoughts. Choose your words more carefully and practice listening to your inner voice. Life truly is a game, and now you have 3 more golden rules to play it wisely and victoriously. I believe you can do it. Thank you for joining me through these enlightening pages and the profound perspectives on life that Florence Scovel Shinn skillfully outlined in The Game of Life and How to Play It. I believe that you too feel the urge, a small fire lit within your soul, reminding us of the infinite power that each of us holds. But reading the book is only the beginning. The true value of this knowledge is only unlocked when we turn it into action, into a living attitude, and into firm belief. And that is when we together create a community where everyone can learn, share, and strengthen each other's faith. I want to remind you once again of the core message of this book. Life is truly a game where the rules have been set and the laws of the game have been clearly explained. And you, and only you, are the one in control. You have the power to set goals, to believe in your abilities, to visualize victory, and to play joyfully. I hope this video has been a useful tool, a source of inspiration for you to view the game of your life from a new, optimistic, and more proactive perspective. Thank you for taking the time to listen and explore this wonderful book with me. Always remember, play the game of life joyfully and win big. See you in the next videos.